Hey guys, it's Siobhan with Ducati and Beyond. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hello, my name is Siobhan. I do monthly horoscope readings, general readings for the collective, energy updates, and spiritual content channeled messages and information about Starseeds. So this is the second episode in the Starseed Origin series, and this is relating to Sirians. So Sirians are a group also known as Blue Rays. They come from the star constellation Sirius, as well as Sirius A and B. So this is quite a large soul group of origin. There's many different races within the Sirian soul group. Some of them may have slightly different vibratory frequencies, but overall they are considered to be all Sirians, or generally considered blue rays. Sirians as humans, within the human incarnation, if you have a Sirian primary soul group of origin imprint, or you have it as an underlay or an overtone, meaning that you spent a lot of time in Sirius, even if it's not your primary, or you moved from your primary really quickly and then went to Sirius and now you identify with that. Those are all things that we can identify with a soul realignment Akashic record reading. All of this information that I'm sharing with you guys today on Sirians is from my work with clients in the Akash, as well as the information I learned through soul realignment and practicing as a practitioner. So Sirians as humans tend to be very invested in improvement. They are highly creative, but their inspiration is often based off of pre-existing systems and structures. So they really thrive on improving things rather than creating from scratch. They're super organized and highly structured most of the time. Sometimes they can struggle with maintaining this, but overall they tend to be very comfortable in organizations that have structure. So whether that's employing structured routines in their daily life or working in environments that have a really clear set hierarchy, they thrive on things that are, everything in their place, everything has a role, they really like that kind of order. So because of that, they just love planning. They tend to love planning. Most Sirians, not all of them, right? There's always kind of outliers and differences and individual unique imprints, but most Sirians tend to really thrive on planning. They really like their calendars. They like their notebooks. They even might like their checkbooks or, doing budgeting and stuff like that, because it gives them a sense of order and control, and it's a structure that they can understand and really thrive within. So because of that, sometimes Sirian souls can tend to be a little bit risk averse because they like things to be really planned and structured. So taking, spontaneous risks or risks that are outside of their control are a little bit outside of the Sirian comfort zone. Now, that being said, they will take calculated risks, especially if they have the data to back it up. So they're very systematically minded, and if they can control the kind of risks that they're taking, it can actually be very productive for them. So Sirians like these hierarchies. They like those clearly defined roles. They like structure. They like order. They're also very highly goal oriented, especially within any kind of a hierarchy or clearly defined role, structure, or order, right? If they can employ that towards working towards their goals or within working in an organization, that's very productive for them. So you'll often find Sirian incarnated souls within this earth realm in big corporations, or even not big corporations, but just corporations that they really resonate with, or businesses that they really resonate with that have a really clearly defined role or set of hierarchy standards. It's like protocol. Everything is boom, 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 boom. It's all detailed. It's all outlined. There's no ambiguity. It's very clear and clearly defined. So that's where Sirians tend to gravitate towards, but it's not always the case. So Sirians are highly organized and motivated. They really like to get stuff done. They really like to accomplish tasks. That's like that to-do list. They love making the to-do list. They love checking off the to-do list. They just really like having things in their place and in order. Often Sirians also tend to really like to have their place of living very ordered as well. Now, if there's a dysfunctional expression, it can actually show up as the opposite. So they may be very messy, but that's only if they are repressing or not expressing their functional aspect of this organization. So Sirians love self-improvement. That's another area that they really thrive within. They can be really, really great at not only using tools and methodologies and modalities to be able to improve their self, but also to help others do the same. So they may be found in the roles of, psychology or practices, doctors. They tend to really like things that have a really set sort of mindset around it. This is the information, this is the general canon of ideas and theories and, statistics that we have, and then they can work off of that for self-improvement or to help others to improve themselves as well. So they really like to explore new modalities, from psychology to fitness to healthy eating and exercise routines to, alternative modalities such as Reiki or Akashic readings or QHHT or Qigong, anything like that they feel drawn to. Because Sirians do tend to be, although they're very logical and practical and organized, they still have this affinity for the spiritual, the metaphysical. They're very aware, and they tend to also be very self-aware, which helps them in that love of self-improvement. Now, every energy and every soul group has both a functional expression and a dysfunctional expression. So you may or may not present with this expression, but it's just important to know this information. That way you can have an awareness of maybe if you find yourself displaying some of those traits, you go, okay, I know I'm a Sirian soul. This is one of the dysfunctional aspects of it that can present. With that awareness, you can then course correct. So the dysfunctional aspects of Sirian and the Sirian soul groups are lack of originality. So that can get really frustrating for Sirians because they're highly creative souls, but they function best by creating off of something that already exists. Now, this needs to be very carefully kind of worked with because there's kind of gray areas there where you have to be careful not to infringe on other people's intellectual property. You don't want to end up plagiarizing other people's work, but Sirians really excel at improving things. It's like they don't invent the wheel, but they can make it better. They can make it faster. They can make it more efficient in some way, especially if it's like improving the structure of it, because that's what they live for. They really love to improve structures and things that work and make them better. So, but they can get frustrated. They can get frustrated with their own lack of originality, or they can get frustrated by having to work off of things that already exist. So it's once you work through that and you say, you know what, my creativity is still my creativity, even if I'm improving something that already exists, even if I'm working off of a template that's already there, I'm putting my spin on it and it's my imagination, it's my creativity and my expression. So it is unique to you, but there's sometimes, so the Sirian souls can just get a little frustrated with that. They want to create something brand new from scratch, never been seen before. That's just not how Sirian creativity works. So it's important to just kind of take a step back and observe that process if it's happening and allow yourself to embrace your unique creativity and however that looks for you. Sirians can also, because they love structures and systems and hierarchies so much, in the dysfunctional aspect, they can sometimes present as overly dogmatic. So whether that's with religion or politics or, in their work, their career, or their just general beliefs about reality, they can get very fixed on set ideas. This can be really positive in the functional sense because they can use those ideas to improve structures, improve themselves, or help other people to improve themselves. But in the dysfunctional aspect, it's closed-mindedness, right? So it's open-mindedness versus closed-mindedness. And if you identify as a Sirian and you find yourself kind of shutting things out that don't go with the set of beliefs that you have, if you find yourself judging other people's beliefs or separating yourself, putting yourself up a bit higher than people who believe something different than you, that's something to look at. That's the ego coming through and limiting, what you're willing to understand about in the world around you, because there's so many multiple truths and everyone has a different truth. Truth is very subjective. There are also objective truths that exist universally, but we are the creators of our reality and we individually create as well as co-create. So each person has a different truth and that truth is true for them. So we have to kind of honor that. And in the functional expression, Sirians do. They honor that very well. So Yeah, it's important for Sirians to make sure that they're also not over planning or over organizing, because this can sometimes lead to a lot of stress or anxiety. It can also put just a lot of pressure on yourself. If you're over analyzing everything, overthinking, over planning, it can be too much. You know what I mean? And sometimes, in the really dysfunctional aspect, this can also lead to not taking any action at all. So it's important for Sirian Starseeds to, yes, plan, yes, get organized, but within reason, right? And then when you find yourself kind of being like, okay, well, I'm kind of going a little bit overboard here, and now I'm not doing anything with that idea, maybe take a step back and ask, why is there fear there about taking action, right? Because Sirians do tend to be a little bit risk averse because there's a little bit of fear there about not being in control. Sirians love control. That's why they like to organize and plan so much. They like to understand things. So it's maybe stepping back and allowing the flow to just naturally occur. And then, like I said, Sirians tend to frustrate themselves if their advice isn't accepted or if they can't create something completely original. So in that creation sense, it was like I was saying before, it's about really just getting inspired and creative with what's already there and making it your own, so long as it's not, plagiarism or infringing on any intellectual property or anything like that. But on the other hand, they can get frustrated by their advice not being accepted or understood by other people. Sirians are actually really good at giving advice in that higher functional aspect because they can really help improve other people, or give them the tools to improve themselves, I should say, because it's never our responsibility to improve other people. People are perfect just as they are. But if they are seeking some kind of awareness or a tool of some kind to help themselves to heal from something or to expand their consciousness, then that we can definitely help with. Sirians are great at that. Sirians are fantastic at learning these tools, implementing them, and then sharing them with others. So it can be frustrating if, you're, say, for example, you're a Sirian and you work in the realm of, a doctor's office or something, and you're giving somebody this information on what they should do to improve their health situation, and then they don't take it. They don't listen to you. They go out and they eat a bunch of crap, and they come back feeling even worse. And you're like, well, you didn't listen to me. That can be really frustrating for Sirians because they're like, but I can see what's going to work for you. Why won't you just do it? But that is a form of that dysfunctional judgment. Again, it's like being very dogmatic about your truths and your beliefs. And even though the intention is to help somebody else, it's their responsibility to take your advice. It's their responsibility to actually implement it. And it's not your responsibility what they do with the information you give them. So Sirians may need to kind of take a step back from that responsibility for helping or healing others, or for, sharing or giving advice or trying to improve structures, especially if they're in structures that are resistant to being improved, things that are highly dogmatic or have been in the collective mindset for a long, long time, like religion or things like that. Very slow to change. It can change. These structures and systems and ideologies can change over time, in subtle ways, but it needs to be done tactfully and gracefully. And Sirians who incarnate into those sort of positions, they're doing it for a reason, because they're trying to shift and align the systems from the inside out. So that's why Sirians tend to go into like traditional style methodologies, modalities, or organized structures, is because they're changing and shifting them from the inside out. And if they are in the metaphysical or non-traditional modalities, and they're doing it the same way, but just from the other end of the spectrum. So it depends on the Sirian. So that's pretty much it for Sirians. I've never experienced myself as a Sirian. I think that I have a lot of affiliations personally with Sirians. My mom and my brother both have a Sirian origin. So there's definitely connections there. And if you're looking for more information on the actual sort of Sirian Starseed, or I should say Sirian extraterrestrial traits, because we're talking about starseeds here, which are human expressions of starseeds. You can find all of that online, but just take it with a grain of salt, because there's so much information out there. Just take what resonates with you. But Sirians are a wide race of beings, and they range from energy beings to very aquatic beings. There can be Sirian whales and dolphins. There can be Sirian mermaids. There can be Sirian bipeds. There's so many different different strains or different races, I should say, races of Sirians. So they can look very different and inhabit very different bodies. But vibrationally, they're all within that collective, and they all kind of strive for the same sort of energetic expression, I should say. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for Sirians. If you guys have any additional questions or you're looking to find out what your soul group of origin is, you can always comment down below and or reach out to me for a soul realignment Akashic record reading. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I love you. We'll see you in the next episode, which will be, I believe I said Mintalkins before, so stay tuned for that. Love you guys. Bye.